All right, good morning, everybody. JB at JB Farms here. I've been asked by a couple guys kind of to go through how I play Farming Simulator. Um, I'm a guy that likes a lot of realism, and the part of the realism I go with, I see a lot of guys on the servers and stuff doing co-ops and things, and that's all awesome. I like that. Um, where you run a local co-op that services everybody. That's a great way to do more realistic gameplay. But a part that I like to do personally is record keeping on the back end. So I actually build an economy, um, rather, well, not build, but I use real world values and stuff outside the game to go and figure up everything that I'm doing in the game. So in the game, I actually cheat my money, uh, to infinity, you know. But outside the game is where I'm doing all my record keeping, all my sales of grain and things. So we're going to go through that here this morning a little bit, kind of show you what I do. So JB Farms, this is my business, my balance sheet overlook and everything. And if you're not familiar with what a balance sheet is or what it does, feel free to message me. I'll get on, I'll chat with you and kind of go through it a little bit. I work in agricultural lending, so I see this all the time. And it's kind of a big part of the job that I do. But I could sit down and go through it with you, and if you're interested in playing the same way I do or anything like that, we can certainly help get you rolling and get you started. So here we go. Yeah, so we got my balance sheet here. Obviously, it just shows your assets, your income, your expenses and liabilities, and the equity you have in your company. And that all this information is pre-filled and pulling from all these categories over here. Now, my first category is my bank accounts. So it shows these bank accounts I put in there based on what I want to do in my gameplay. So I have a cattle farm, and every farm's got usually an operating line if you're a borrower and need money on the regular, and you can't cash flow it yourself with out of pocket. Um, um, you can borrow money on an operating line. I think a lot of farmers are familiar with what that is. So I have them set up as bank accounts in here, and gave myself some available credit on each line. Each line is for something different. My operating line's for repairs. My equipment operating line that you see right here, that one, that is if I need another hopper wagon or something like that, but I don't have the cash to go buy it. I can go make small purchases off the op line. Any cattle feed or anything related to the cattle, really, that we may need, that comes off of this operating line here. And then we got the RE loan, or real estate loan. I've only got $250,000 out on that right now. That's what I've got left to pay. And then once that's all paid off, that loan will go away, because the way we do it at work, the end part of your loan number, the 60 right here, that always changes. So with a new loan, that'll change to 61. And then same with the operating line. That's good for 3 years, though. So 3 seasons in game is how long that's good for. Same with the op line, but those will change to 16 and 43 and 53 as the next account numbers. Then the next categories are cash accounts. We got a checking and a savings account, and we can actually go through this, and you can see everything you've done, in there, obviously, and things like that. I've been keeping track for quite a while. I've got 3 pages of transactions. But we've also got a tab called inter-account transfers. So I can use my cash account. I got money in my checking here, $237,000, and I used inter-account transfer and I transferred it through a screen like this, and I just went from my checking account to my savings account, ended up with $21,000 in there, and that's to make my real estate payment on my real estate loan for this season. And then at the end of the season, I will go through and pull up my Excel file, which let's pull that up right now real quick. My Excel file, I keep track of all my loans in there. I got my operating line. I've got my other operating and my other operating, but I don't have any money borrowed on any of them right now. The original amounts are $150,000 on that one, $250 and $250. And if I borrow anything out, all I gotta do is come in here and say I borrowed $89,955, and then it pre-populates it in there for me. And these are in real life designed to be paid down annually, so once a year. So that's why there's only one payment scheduled in there. This is a one-time payment, and I only go per season. If I wanted to, I could just keep that the same, which is loan period and seasons, and I could say I'm going to make 5 payments this year, and then it'll break it down for me, and it'll keep track of how much interest over here that I'm paying on each payment cumulatively, and what my total interest ends up being at the end of the loan. So each season, I can get a patronage back, because where I work in real life, we are a co-op, so we do pay back some patronage. We pay back so many cents on the dollar for every dollar of interest you pay us. We'll pay that back to you. So in game, I keep track of that. If I paid, this year, if I paid $600, if I make, say each one of these is one payment for the season. Let's go back to that. Let's make it one for the season. My total interest is $5,397.30. I'm probably going to get right around 30% of that back for each dollar. So 30 cents on the dollar back on that $5,300. So then I'll track that over in here. And I think I did it here somewhere. Yeah, patronage payback. So this year we're actually paying out 40%. So I paid a lot in interest. So this is actually what I received back was $203,000, because I had $1 million loan. And that's what I paid in one season then. And this is the interest back, or the patronage back on the interest for that season. But enough about the banking part of it, I guess. We'll move on. So anytime I want to make a purchase, I have a sale, or make a sale, I have a sales order that I can come up with. I sold some equipment. It was a DB60 and a Montag Fert cart. I sold it to Randall Brothers. They're an equipment jockey. It's just kind of my outlet in the game for whenever I need to get rid of equipment or don't want it anymore. I hate just deleting it. I want something out of it. So I sold the pair for $140,000. And then I copied that over to an invoice. Let's go back and see which invoice number that was, though. It was issued on 1/15 with a reference of 6. So if I go and find that reference number in sales invoices, here we have it. And they have paid it in full. That means I've received the payment in my account for that. Anytime I do sell something or buy something, there's a delivery note that's got to be done. And when you do the delivery note, like I sold corn to Cooper Farms, I sold them 8,700 bushel at $4.03 a bushel is all that tells me. And I do a delivery note to just get that to come out of my inventory items or come into it. Depends on the transaction I'm doing. So here I've got all my inventory items. I've got 28. I've got alfalfa hay, clover seed, anhydrous, some seed corn, seed beans, beef bulls that I raise. And I only call them beef bulls because The game calls them that, I do believe, but in reality, I'd want steers. And we got harvested crop of corn, farm diesel, Holstein cattle, which I've sold all my Holsteins. Not dairy farming at the moment. Lime, milk, poultry litter, row starter, silage bale, soybean, and you get the idea. All the way down, to my wheat seed. And then I'll go through and I'll actually use the list that the TXR mapping put out for acreage amounts and such, and say I need to know how much corn I need to plant. Well, I've got it here. Highlight for you. Price per bag. We're putting out a population of 30,000 seeds per acre, and there's 80,000 kernels roughly in a bag. So I have to usually then figure up, if I'm going to plant 500 acres of corn or something, how many bags of seed corn I'm going to need. And once I got that figured up, the price of it over here is $180. And then I go in and I make a PI for it, or a PO, a purchase order first. So right here I made one from my seed dealer. It was for wheat seed, and the wheat seed's priced per bag. The bag weighs 50 pounds, and there's 52 pounds per bushel, and that's just how I buy my wheat seed. I buy it by the bushel. So I went through, I figured it all up for my acreage and stuff, and needed 105 bags of wheat seed for what I was putting out, and it was let's see, I don't know if 1250 is right. Why is 1250? Yeah, I guess it's marked at 1250 a bag. The wheat seed's pretty cheap. But anyway, I have my PO for that. I had a PO here for other seed. You get the idea. But go through, do all your math, figure out how much you need, your price. I do pay a sales tax on it. Because I know farmers pay their taxes once a year, and I'm not going into that great a depth, because there's mornings I get on here wanting to play Farming Sim and end up doing bookwork for 3 hours, quite literally, to keep up with it all, which that's great. That's part of my realism. But I'm not going to the lengths to figure out how much tax I need to pay at the end of the year and make sure I've got that money. So it's just easier for me to pay it as we go throughout the year. But we look at the reference number of 18, and we go to our purchase invoices then, and we find a reference number of 18 right here, and then we hit view, and boom, there's a PI for it, or the purchase invoice, and it's been paid. It tells me there's a payment. It was number 81 payment on 12/24/19 for $12,844.05 that took care of it, and the balance due is $0. And then there would have been a delivery note in there. Quite possibly. There should have been. I'm not sure why there's not, but anyhow. Then you have your suppliers list. Again, these are all who I get things from on my farm. And it keeps track of all the invoices for each one, quantity that you have yet to receive from them, or if you have an account payable to them, and what your credit is for them available. Goods receipt, here we go. So this is where I would have received, yep, right there it is, order number 18 for that seed. That was my goods receipt. That just says, hey, this stuff's been delivered to me, and it's now in my inventory. Inventory items here. And then inventory transfers I don't use, but it's there. You have it. Inventory write-offs if you need to get rid of some inventory for some reason. We lost some lime. It sat out in the field too long. It got hard and nasty. We just kind of had to dispose of it. So I just wrote that off. That was 15 tons of lime. There's production orders I haven't messed with. I don't know if I will. Employees, Joel Bay, that's me. I'm the sole employee of JB Farms. So I'm in there as an employee, and the pay slip I get a yearly salary for running the LLC. A lot of farmers nowadays put everything in an LLC, but that, he's the owner of everything, sure, but he's got to get paid. That LLC is a business, and he is the business employee. So that's why I've got that set up the way I do. And then there's billable time. I can bill, if I wanted to, go in there, I could say, Cooper Farms, we did some work for you, because they do have hogs and turkeys and stuff, and the original family does have some farm ground. And I could say, I spent X amount of time and minutes here doing stuff for you, and this is my hourly rate, and then create that, and then I can bill them for that. So that's pretty cool. Same with expenses. I can come up with new billable expenses if I need to. Then my fixed assets list. This is where I keep track of all my equipment and my acreages and different things like that. And then when you dispose of a fixed asset, it comes up down here at the bottom. So I've bought and sold things since I started doing this, and just trying to find that right mesh of equipment for the size farm I'm doing. And it's at some point it's easier just to keep this going and not start a new business for a new save game. So there's a couple save games in the beginning there that I disposed of, didn't like, and now I'm using a different save game. So yeah, but anyhow, moving on. We've got intangible assets. It's the stuff you can't touch, you can't hold in your hand. I think we all know what intangible is, but I don't have any of those assets on my farm right now, so nothing there. I don't have any capital accounts. Journal entries, I've done a couple of them, and they always have to balance out. So you always have to have a debit and a credit. So you're pulling it from an account and putting it to another account to make your balance sheet balance back out if something is wrong. And that's what I had to do there. I had to debit my fixed asset sales and put it into loss on disposable, or vice versa. And then you got your reports here. So, my profit and loss statement. I could generate a new report for that. And I've never done this, so I'm not real sure what this does. Nope, there we go. So there, we learned something new today. Profit and loss statement is generated. I'm not real sure. Like I said, 120. Yeah, that's just for one day. So I could edit that, I'm sure. Let's open that up. Back to April 1 to keep it till today and update. Oh, there we go. So there's, as of right now, our profit is $2.4 million. Total expenses $1.2 million. So there's your profit and loss statement. So, pretty cool things I can do with this. And then, of course, all the settings to change what I need to in this program. Then the other business is Heritage Acres Land Holdings, and again, it's pretty much all the same thing. And Heritage Acres is my land holding company. They just own some acreage, and as JB Farms here, as this company here, I am the tenant farmer, and I share crop with Heritage Acres Land Holdings. So theirs is a much smaller account on here, just as owning a little bit of acreage on their fixed assets and one tractor. That's it. That's about all they own, and they don't have many expenses or nothing. So it's pretty cut and dry for them, because I keep track of all their grain and everything for their half with mine, and then do all the bookwork that way. So what else do I have to show you? I think that's pretty much it. And my prices, they all do come from let's pull over an internet window here real quick. So if I need tractor, I go to tractorhouse.com here, and I look up whatever I need. So if I needed a John Deere in the game, I'm buying a 4850. I can come in here and I can look and see what 4850s are selling for. So 49,900. You can go that way, or you can look up auction results on Tractor House. Great tool there for you if you're wanting to get into this kind of realism and whatnot. And then I know I've got bookmarked some here. Yep, Central Ohio Farmers Co-op. I've got cash prices. So these are their current cash prices, and this is what I base selling all my grain on. These real life values, and that's how I buy all my stuff, and it's all real life values, real time. So yeah, that's all I've got for you. If you enjoyed that at all, in any way at all, let me know. If you would like to get into more realistic playing like that, I'd be happy to help you get started. Give you some help, whatever you need, and some support. That's what we're here for. We're here to make this game awesome, keep it awesome. We've seen some negativity in the FS modding community and stuff lately on Facebook, which I think is absolutely ridiculous over a video game. I don't know. I started my group and my page so that we can all have an outlet to go talk about farming, because we obviously love farming enough to play it when we're not actually farming. So, who works on a video game when they're not actually working? I think that's kind of a cool thing that we all love it that much. So, at JB Farms 60, that's our Facebook page. And then JB Farms group, we've got that too. Must be 20 or older to get into that. Just for issues, I don't. If there's any adult language or anything in there, I don't need anybody getting mad because there's kids in there or something like that. So safeguarding ourselves that way with the 20 and older. That's my little disclaimer there. But anything. These pages aren't just for the game. They're for talking farming anything, in any aspect of the game, any aspect of real life farming. You need help with something, hit us up. I'm a very amateur modder, but I am learning and always willing to help somebody else learn. And if I can't figure it out, I've got a few guys that I go to that I'm sure I could get an answer for you on something from them. So, I hope you liked the video, and have a good day.